How's it going, everyone? This is Blister coming at you with another Classic WoW video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at healing in Classic WoW. Before we get started, I do want to say that this guide is based off the general healing guide that can be found on classicwow.live. If you want to hear more of what I'm talking about, make sure you head over there and check out the whole guide itself. Look for a link down below. Healing has always been something that I've gravitated towards when it comes to MMOs, and it's been no different with WoW, in the past, present, and most likely future. While a good healer may not have any issues throughout a dungeon, having minimal deaths and only wiping because of incidental aggros and fears, a great healer will be able to fight through that with their utilization of all of their tools. Maximizing your use of all your tools will make you extremely healing efficient. To do so, we should talk about a few things. First, mana regeneration. As a healer, you need to be extremely conscious of how much mana you have. If you have a tank that is chain pulling in a dungeon, you need to make sure that he is either paying attention to your mana so you can drink when you get low, or you need to make sure that you're being as efficient as possible with your heals to prevent from draining any mana unneedingly. A large part of the mana management is spirit regeneration and the what's known as 5-second rule. While your mana does regenerate without Spirit, Spirit will increase the amount of mana regenerated that occurs every 2 seconds. The 5-second rule refers to the 5 seconds a player must wait without casting a spell to see the Spirit mana regeneration begin to kick in. This is an oversimplification, as mana regeneration actually occurs every 2 seconds. The 2-second tick is server side, so it is treated just like Rogue's Energy. Because of this, it can actually take up to 7 seconds for the regeneration to actually kick in. Another large piece of mana management is mana per 5 seconds. MP5 is much more straightforward. Regardless of your casting or not, you will generate as much mana as your mana per 5 second gear says it will regenerate every 5 seconds. While this stat is much harder to find, it is also just as effective in all situations. There's also the downranking of spells that will help you be as efficient as possible. The idea behind downranking is that you're getting enough plus healing and plus crit gear that you can cast lower ranked spells that will still make you an effective healer. The thought behind this is because the mana costs of your spells do not scale with your gear. This should allow you to increase your healing per second and still maintain a healthy mana pool. Another integral part of the healer experience is understanding buffs and debuffs. This does not apply just to healers, but it is a large part of their gameplay specifically. All healers bring to the raid some sort of buff, whether it be fortitude from priest or the multitudes of totems that shaman have. These buffs are all extremely important because of the power boosts it gives your entire raid, so they should be applied to the raid 100% of the time. Debuffs are also very important to understand. Understanding debuffs and which ones you need to dispel is extremely important. What is even more important is understanding what debuffs you can actually dispel. As you can see from this chart here, there is no one single healer that can dispel every single type of debuff. This is another reason why you should make sure you understand the debuffs so you know what you can actually dispel. And then there is always the additional raid utility that healers bring to a raid. Some of that utility is through talents that healers must spec into. For example, a priest can spec into power infusion, which is a great buff for a caster, but it's going to cost you some healing output. This is actually a very common thing to see among healers, especially once healing is no longer an issue with progression raids. There are also the utility spells that don't require a healer to use any of their talent points to spec into. For example, druids have Innervate, which is a great mana regeneration skill. Druids also have Rebirth, which is one of the most important skills in the game that can turn a wipe into a kill. It's important to understand what additional utility you can bring to each boss fight depending on your class. Positioning is another key part of any healer's gameplay. Most people believe that all you need to do is stay in the back of the group and you'll be fine. While this is the case for some instances, it's not always true. Staying at max distance of your party is going to be your safest bet. Being able to stay 40 yards away from your group will keep you out of range of most, if not all, mob abilities. So it is a good idea to try and stay as far away from your group as possible. However, make sure you don't accidentally aggro any patrolling mobs. Line of sight is something that is often overlooked at how strong it can be. Breaking the line of sight from a mob and even a boss is the best way to ensure that you're not going to get hit by any of their abilities. All you need to do is make sure that you're still in line of sight of your party, or just the person that you're trying to heal, but not in line of sight of your enemies. Setting up a custom interface is also generally a good idea. Not everyone will think that you need custom raid frames while you're healing, but I would implore you to at least try some out. Customized frames can let you see things like what kind of debuff is affecting a player without having to look at the actual debuff. It's also going to tell you what kind of heals over time are on the target, and if you need to refresh your HOT. All of this is important information and not something that you can get from the default Blizzard UI. Your target of target can also be a great tool. If you're designated as a tank healer and you're spamming your spells on who you think is currently tanking the boss and suddenly the other tank gets destroyed and dies, it's usually because the healers weren't healing the right tank. If you have a target of target add-on, then you can actually see who the boss is targeting much more easily, so you'll know where to throw your heals at. Key bindings are also very important. The difference between a tank living and dying from a tank buster ability can happen in the blink of an eye. Using key bindings will allow you to more quickly heal your target, and overall it'll just give players a better chance to live and a better chance at success. And lastly, add-ons. A lot of the things that we just spoke of can all be done using add-ons, but that is not where the usefulness of add-ons ends. Other add-ons like a threat meter and things like tell me when or weak auras are extremely important. As we get closer to the launch of Classic, make sure you tune back to see what add-ons will work with this new client, and will be much more concise on a list to get you guys going. While I could continue to talk about different types of healing environments, I do want to leave something for you all to read in Taladrill's guide. If you want to read more about healing in general from someone who knows a thing or two, make sure you check out the link down below and check out Taladrill's guide. Whether you're a novice or an expert on healing in Classic, it is definitely worth a read. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, it's Ratted here. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. We put out multiple new videos each week and we appreciate all of your support. Thanks for watching everyone, and cheers.